It is time, once again, to lock your doors, shut your windows, strap yourself into your favorite comfy chair, and tune out and tune into The Naked Zombie.
Once again, to get naked with the zombie. I'm your host, Brad Scott, and you listen to the best in Australian paranormal pop culture radio show, The Naked Zombie. Now, folks, this is a funny thing. I get emails after emails after emails, people asking, where does my history come from within the paranormal itself? And I get so much stuff sent through with people, why'd you do this, Brad? Why'd you do that, Brad? Now, if you listen to the past shows, you'll remember how my little sister Kylie, I'm talking about, other stuff that went on. Well, guess what? Tonight I'm truly stoked. Tonight I have my parents in, Bev and Wayne Scott, as well as my little sister Kylie. Now, we're going to talk about what's actually happened in the past with us and why we grew up in haunted houses and why we experienced events of the supernatural and paranormal. And that's what left me today to do what I do and how it has affected my family over the years. So please welcome to Naked Zombie Radio, my folks, Wayne Scott, Bev Scott, and Kylie Jagu. Hello, family.
Hello, Brad.
Hi, boyo.
Oh, hi, boyo. Here we go. It started already. No, Mum, I don't want to clean behind my ears. Listen, so I've got me folks in tonight because I think it's important because, like I said, the amount of emails that I get from fans of the show want to know, how did I get into this? And trust me, growing up and with this lot, you soon go through a lot. Dad, I'm going to start with, I'm going to call you Dad. Yeah, I'm a dad. Wayne, as we call it in radio world. Dad, just tell people some of the stuff we've talked about over the years and what experiences that me and you have had and what you and Mum have had in the paranormal. Go, knock your socks off, mate.
Well, to say I was a skeptic before I met your mother, I'd say I was a skeptic. I never really took much notice of what went on, what went on around me, until I met my future mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law, my mum.
And that actually changed everything for me. A person who could tell you what was going to happen in the future and be right on most occasions was quite amazing. I was allowed to, I was invited into the family and very privileged to be so. I had terrific in-laws. My mother-in-law was well-read, but she had an uncanny knack of being right on nearly every occasion. I was about to go on tour of Vietnam in 1969, and she told me that I'd be delayed in my departure, and she was right. She told me I was going to come home early. I'll rephrase that. She told my future bride that I was going to come home early, and she was right in that department. But several things happened before I married your mother. One of them was I was coming down to visit her one evening, and it was late afternoon, the sun was behind me, and in those days I drove an old Ford Falcon sedan. At any rate, I'm driving up this particular highway, and the engine just cut out, and I stopped dead. I was actually about to overtake another vehicle, and if I hadn't stopped dead, I probably wouldn't be here telling you about it, and you probably wouldn't be having your radio show, because a vehicle was about to overtake me and I never saw it.
Well, I thought it was the neighbour was the reason I'm here.
Good one, son.
Yeah. You come on my show, you expect the best.
Lots of things happen, and even...
So basically, just to cut you off there, Dad, what you're saying is you'll drive along,
Yeah.
doing 100 k's an hour, and the car
That's right.
physically stopped.
That's right.
Like everything just stopped. You just
Everything
stopped, momentum, dead stop, no screeching of brakes, nothing. The car just stopped dead in its tracks.
That's right.
Well, he did say, Brad, when he told me about it originally, was the fact that it felt like a giant hand on the front of the car, and the car just stopped dead.
It just basically... Now, didn't we have the same experience when I was a little bit as well. It was in Ipswich. Remember we were driving along, we had the Kingswood? The
look,
Kingswood,
honey,
and it had the same thing where the car physically stopped for that half second. Like all momentum stopped.
I would not be
Is that when-
surprised. He was enough to stop anything.
Was that when the door flew open and Brad was in the baby seat?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, he was too, because the car went past, overtaking us because we were on a highway, and the bloke bipped his horn. We didn't even know the door was open.
Sorry, I'm giving my parents hand signals here to talk into the microphones. I mean, technology scares them. It seriously does.
Door.
No, talk. You know the thing on the stand with the microphone? Yeah, look, I'm
Yeah,
showing
yeah,
my
I know
parents a
what you
lot of
mean,
love
mate.
here right now.
Just another episode I need to talk about. And,
That's right.
And this really opened my
Don't
eyes.
mumble.
This really opened my eyes.
Hey, Lordy.
My wife's grandmother had passed away, and we'd been down to see her. I went down with her father to view the body, and coming back that night, we were actually sleeping in a little 12-foot Bondwood caravan in the backyard of my in-laws' place. Bradley was a baby at the time, and at any rate, my wife was sound asleep and I'd been reading, and I went to turn the light out, and I lifted my head up off the pillow, and then, for the life of me, I don't know what caused it to this day, but I believe it was a visitation from my wife's grandmother, and like a hand pressed the pillow down where my head had been, and I tell you, I got the fright of my life, to say the least. But it wasn't threatening. It was quite comforting, and it actually made me feel good after that episode, that I'd been to visit the old lady who I had a great deal of respect for, and she was visiting me on her way. So that was a story I'll never forget. And I like repeating because it means a lot to me.
Well, it means a lot to us too as kids growing up too, hey sis? I mean, that's the one thing we heard as kids, a lot of these stories growing up, and the experiences that we had in the house we were living in Wood Street in Gladstone.
Well, the funny thing is actually when it came to Wood Street and everything, it wasn't until actually after we left that Mum and Dad sort of let us know that the house was haunted. So
We
that's
sort of
the
had
thing.
some
I mean,
idea.
it was funny. They didn't want to scare us or anything like that. And,
Oh, no, we only got mist figures floating up the friggin' hallway into your
Yeah.
room. Doors used to open up on their own. Stereos used to turn themselves on and
Yeah.
off. And we're talking about the old black and white pull button TV would sit there and go clickety, click, click, click
Yeah.
all night long. I mean, yeah, it's not haunted. It's fine.
It's perfectly normal.
No.
It's just your overactive imagination.
It's the middle of summer and I'm freezing. Why, Mummy?
Well, the whole thing is, too, you know, talking about Wood Street, your dad's mum passed. She got cancer. She was very ill. But at one stage, Kylie was sick and she was visiting with us, and she developed a terrific bond with Kylie.
I was about a toddler around then.
Yeah, you're about two years old.
That's
and
before
then-
she could actually speak, wasn't
Yes,
it?
and
It all
then
changed after that.
Well, after she spoke, yes, but I can never forget. It was honestly, it was Grandma Scott. You'd actually see her go down the hallway and stand outside Kylie's room just to keep an eye on her,
Yeah.
And you know,
as if to say that, oh well, she's all right, I can go now.
Well, that's the funny thing, because where my bed was located, because my head of the bed was right in front of the door. Now, I remember clear as day during the night seeing this mist figure coming down the friggin' hallway and straight into Kylie's room. And look, I'd sit there and watch it go,
You know, the funny thing is, though, with Grandma Scott is even when we moved to Seaview Heights,
yeah,
she was there. I mean, the last time I saw her, I would have been about 13 years of age, and I woke up during the night and there was this glowing white figure sort of standing at the doorway. So, and I knew it was her because it's always been her, but I haven't seen her since. But she stayed around for a very long time in my life.
I mean, that's the thing. It's growing up. No matter what house we lived in, even the house in Perthhouse Street had something with it. That rental place where we were building bloody in Narita Street in Gladstone. I mean, every single bloody place we moved in there, we dragged something along with us. I mean, or
Yeah,
it
but
followed us
none
there.
of them were nasty.
No, none of it was nasty.
They were all just there just to keep tabs or to keep an eye on a member of the family that they felt close to. I can remember in Wood Street, my parents were staying with us, and Dad was on shift work, and I'm in bed, and all of a sudden I woke up, and my father actually was coming through the door with his fists raised, and he was really angry. And I actually said, "Dad, what's wrong?" And then I heard my father in the next room saying, "What's the matter, love?" And I thought, "Oh shit!"
And you look down and Granddad doesn't have no feet.
That's right. And then I made the mistake of mentioning it at breakfast that next
remember
morning, and my father said, "Oh." He called my mother George, by the way. He said, "Oh, George, it looks like I'll have to watch myself for the next few months or so." And I would hate to admit it, my father suffered a heart attack.
Man, we lost him
Within
pretty
6
much shortly
months.
after that. You know.
So it does happen.
Yeah, I mean these are experiences that a lot of families have who get involved in the paranormal. Like, see, we weren't shunned from it growing up as kids. It wasn't hidden. There was a lot of stuff we're going to talk about tonight that we probably don't even know about still to this day that affected Mum and Dad when growing up. Because, Mum, I'll get you to go into a bit of the family history and why we're sort of cursed, as I call it.
Because we're bloody Irish, boy, eh?
Yeah, to be sure. My last name is Scott. What do you expect? We've got to come from somewhere like that.
No.
Oh, it's Mescoot, wasn't it?
No. I'm a Catholic Irish and your father is a Protestant Irish.
Oh, great mix.
So therefore, we should not.
That's after we were kicked out of Scotland to Ireland.
After
We're
fighting
too
each
much
other.
in-clan fighting.
Yes, well, that's true, actually.
We ran out of people to fight with, so we decided to
No,
fight
we killed
with each
everyone
other.
else.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty
we
much.
basically...
Yes, I'm
Got the
afraid.
English out, that's for sure.
I'm afraid the Scots, your relatives, according to the family tree, they were border clansmen and they were the fighting Scots.
They loved a good fight.
They loved a good
And
fight.
seriously, nothing has changed your grandsons to this day.
And also our daughter.
Oh,
My God.
It's not the time. This funny story, just quickly. This is my little sister, right? I'm a fairly big guy, and she's very small compared to me. But wasn't the time this young bloke reversed into you or something? Kind of ended up jumping on his bonnet.
Look, it doesn't even have to be long ago. Yesterday,
Yeah.
they were doing roadworks on her street.
Yeah.
And we called a cab home.
Oh, didn't I
right?
give them an earful of bloody
And the cab driver had to pull up well out of her street.
Yeah.
And so we had to walk back to her place.
Yeah.
And we went to cross a pedestrian crossing, and this Sheila come belting out to the pedestrian crossing. And Kylie stood there
In front of
with
the
her
car.
hands on her hips, saying, "Oi, it's a pedestrian crossing."
This poor old Asian woman who was too short to see above her dashboard.
And you can send all hate mail if you're a short little Asian woman to Kylie Jigu at... No, seriously.
No,
It's,
it wasn't her fault. She couldn't see anything.
But Kylie doesn't have to be 6 years old standing on her little soapbox
No, I
for that sort
I
of
didn't
reaction
say the
anymore.
time. I mean, I'm the same. I mean, like I blew like there's no tomorrow and argue with people because that's been built to me. But it's like the time that I got stuck at a zebra crossing. I was working in New Zealand, and I had a McDonald's thick shake in one hand and a cheeseburger in the other hand, and I'm walking across to go back to work, and this guy just literally sees me halfway across and decides he'll go anyway. So after his BMW ended up getting covered in my chocolate milkshake and half of my bun, he actually stopped, and I'm standing on the thing, I'm going, yeah, let's go. He took one look, because back then I was like 120 kilos, shaved head, big mo and goatee. I don't look much like that anymore, but this guy just sort of... My mother can swear more than a drunken sailor. Anyway, so the guy got out of the car, then he jumped back in and ran off. I mean, that's a funny story. Anyway, back to the paranormal. That's what we're talking about. And listen, guys, as you know, like I said, if you just tuned into the show, you are talking to Brad Scott, of course, the host of Naked Zombie Radio, and my lovely greying parents, Bev and Wayne Scott, and my awesome little sister, Kylie. And we are
He's not greying at all, no.
No, dye is a beautiful thing. What we're talking... Oh, I'm a horrible brother. Now, what you got to remember, guys, we are talking about growing up haunted. And this is a funny thing. I've finally, after all this time, my parents are coming in on the show. Because, like I said in the start of the show tonight, I get so many emails from people going, how did I get in this? Why are you so about the paranormal? Why you did a show? It is all to do with my upbringing. It is all to do with the family tree, our past history in the paranormal and the supernatural, having mediums and psychics in the family and all that other good stuff that goes on with it. So, folks, my lovely parents, don't remember who I am? I'm your lovely and caring son who does not wish to put you into a home if you don't do the show. You know the special home you saw in a current affair?
There's many memorable occasions of things that you just cannot explain that's happened to us as a family, as individuals. I can remember once my daughter Kylie had a little wind-up music box, and this wind-up music box had stayed under her bed probably for too long, probably 6 months or more, and all of a sudden it started playing. Well, didn't that put the wind up me? It was absolutely amazing, this thing, and it never did it again. We couldn't get it to work. How do you explain that? I have no idea. All I know is strange things do happen. I don't believe we're strange in any way. We live a very normal lifestyle.
Until you see the photos.
But they seem to happen to us, and it seems to happen a lot.
I think
Even to this
I
day.
think it's because when you have an open mind to what goes on about you, and you don't shut it off. I mean, when you're young, things happen, and you just accept them. And as you get older, you think, no, and you lose it. You just don't. You aren't open anymore to what goes on around you. You shut it off. And I can remember very, very young, I'd wake up and there'd be this person standing at the foot of the bed. And I'd tell my mother about it, and she'd say, oh, that sounds like my mother. And I said, but, you know, Grandma's alive. And she said, no, she's not. She just died not so long ago.
Thanks, Grandma.
Grandma was always
up.
so like, oh, don't worry, honey, we'll get you a new budgerigar.
Oh,
But I've already got a budgerigar. Grandma, no, you don't. It's dead.
Well, my Grandma, your mum, Grandma Phillips, was about as tactful as a lead balloon.
Oh, she was hopeless.
But she was awesome. Look, and that's the thing, Grandma, this is where we're going to talk about the mediumship and psychic side of thing in the family. Now, this runs pretty deep, doesn't it, in a lot of ways? Because, I'm not going to put people off here, but seriously, there is too much weird crap that's happened to us as a family when it comes to that side of it as well. About the time you knew exactly when I hurt myself. You knew
Oh,
exactly.
yes,
It's just
yes.
this stuff, I mean, all mothers do, but it's just knowing different things. It's just
I always
weird.
knew when your father hurt himself at work, I'd get a feeling that he was hurt. And 9 times out of 10, it was spot on. But I think everybody has it.
Well, there was that time that I just moved in with my husband-to-be, Darren, and I was at work, and I suddenly felt my chair starting to, the back of it starting to shake. And all of a sudden, I felt very grim. I couldn't explain it. I had to actually go home. And the first thing I did when I got home was I rang Darren at work and I said, are you okay? And there was just this silence. And he goes, oh, I just got news that my grandma died. And he was very close to his grandparents in England. So just to know that something was seriously wrong and to know who to call at that time is both a gift and a curse, because we're usually there for people that need us. We know that they need us even before, long before they know that.
Yeah, we know that you know that I know that you know, so that's, we know everything then. But that's the thing, growing up in this sort of environment, now, Mum and Dad, you never shunned it from us. You never hid it, like in Wood Street. Like I said, I forget countless times in that house where stuff would just happen. But
Don't worry, it's only Granddad.
It's only Granddad. It's classic. Look, may I tell you a story about me and Dad went through? Now, our grandma, you know, my grandma, Dad's mother-in-law, my mum's mum, and yeah, I can go on that all night. But basically, remember the time we're sitting in the family room, and we just happened to be talking, and next minute we saw Grandma walk past the back door. We had light curtains. You could see we actually walked across. She actually walked in front, and we both saw her, didn't we, Dad?
That's exactly right. You know, it still happens. It's happening all the time. We see people hard to identify sometimes, and it may be just a shape,
A shadow.
a shadow. Sometimes it's a dark shadow. I can recall just recently I went outside to put some rubbish in the bin, and I had the end light on.
And Mum tried to get out of the bin.
No,
I keep getting back in the car when he goes to the dump.
sorry, Dad. You have to get used to the show. I'll come in with one-liners all night.
anyway,
go.
let me
Sometimes
finish
they'll
my
be funny.
story. Let me finish my story.
Sorry, Dad. I'm in trouble now.
Please.
Behave yourself, boyo.
This dark shadow passed right beside me,
Yep.
walking in the same direction as I was, and to this day I can't explain it. It was just one of those eerie things that happen, and you get used to them, you know.
Does it
And
still make the hairs on your neck stand up and in?
stand up on the back of your head, you got no idea.
But they're not going to hurt you.
No, the funny thing is like if there are someone that you know or have known, you get a sense of them because it's like when you sort of know someone already, like someone that you're really close to, and they come up and stand behind you. You don't even have to turn around to know that they're standing behind you because they've just got this presence about them. And that's why often when it's a family member, we know it's them. Like usually before Uncle Ray comes to visit Mum and Dad, his wife, who passed away some years ago now, she often visits like just about a week or two before he shows up, just to make sure everything's okay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mum, you can
She
tell.
does.
Yeah.
She does. I always know. She must know when Ray is due up for a visit
Yep.
because she's out on the patio. Yeah, okay, I agree with that one. That, yeah, she does come.
And often we seem to have more visitations also when one of us is unwell or if we're going through some personal crises of some kind. You'll have more visitation, more activity than usual. It's almost like all the relatives sort of come en masse.
They do. They seem, and it's not just you guys. We not that I've told my wife this, but we get it here as well. I mean, she could tell the story the other night. I mean, I actually rang up you guys because it was like I'm laying in bed. Next minute, I'm sitting upright in bed, telling what was over in my room to get lost, and I'm toning the words down a bit. But this is a thing. It's no matter where we've gone or where we've lived. When we grew up, we separated as a family because we all grew up and we have families of our own now. It always follows us. There's always something around us.
Yeah.
But that's just not us. It's other families go through this as well.
Occasionally you might have a house which already has an existing occupant, but most of the time it's us that's haunted, not the house.
I mean, that's the thing, and this is why people find it, when they say, well, no, it's us. It has to be us. I mean, we are, paranormal magnets. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's inbred. So, Mum, Dad, I've got to ask, when you guys were growing up, did you go through this sort of stuff as well?
I did.
Yeah.
Mainly through with my mum because I don't know whether they've been Irish or whatever. I often used to say to my mum, well, who is that strange person that I saw? And, don't worry about it, love. They won't hurt you. So I would say my mum was involved also. But as I said, as you get older, you lose touch. When you're young and a kid,
You learn to
your
ignore a lot of
mind
things.
is very open, and then reality sets in, and you
And you get
switch
busy.
it off.
It's much easier to ignore the sort of shadow in the hallway or the feeling of something.
God, your
someone
house
else
gives me
in
the
room.
creeps at times. I've stayed there numerous times, like those
Yeah.
frigging dolls.
I'm-
Oh, God.
You put it this way: in my house, you wouldn't want to be a burglar.
Seriously.
We've actually had someone try to break into it once, and I don't know what happened, but they left pretty quickly.
Yeah, they probably saw the frigging pentagram painted on the frigging
No,
floor.
I don't know what it was, but
No, seriously, I've like in your house. It's just funny. Like we go home, me and Mum would be standing at the kitchen window and making a sandwich or doing something, and next minute we see this woman walk past the frigging kitchen window, but there's no one there. We both see her. That's the thing. It's not just me seeing her or it's Mum seeing it. We're both. Me and Dad saw that. Me and you have seen stuff,
Yeah.
Kyle, in your house, in this house. Not that I
and
tell
it's not
anybody,
just
but it's
people either. It's sometimes animals.
Animals,
Like,
yeah.
I've got this large dog that follows me up and down the downstairs hall,
Yeah.
and it peers like smoke under a door,
Yeah.
and it will take form. Like if I'm up during the night to check out a noise or something, it'll just appear and walk me up and down the hall.
Watchdog. It's just
Yeah.
sort of like.
Oh, thank God we're going home tomorrow.
No, or like my old cat Goblin, you'll often see him sort of like you'll see an actual black cat running around the house when all the other cats are upstairs, you know.
Hey, what about the footsteps? Have you ever been in a house and you've heard someone walk up the front stairs?
Yeah, I get a lot of stories like this.
And we
Or up
were
the
at friend's
driveway.
place that this actually happened. I thought, and I said to the woman, I said, "Oh, Bill's not due." The husband. I said, "Oh, is Bill due home?" "Oh no, he's on night shift." And it was somebody walking up the stairs and taking their boots off.
Yeah.
And it turns out that's a sign that someone is going to pass. And within a week, his grandfather had passed on. So he actually, we were at someone else's house and this person walked up the front stairs. And you could actually hear them and taking their boots off.
Very distinct it was.
And
Yeah.
the funny thing is, being an Australian, we all pretty much wear thongs here.
Oh, no,
I don't-
sorry. A
New
lot of the
industry.
audiences are overseas. And no, my 65-year-old father does not wear silky underwear. With the butt
I wish.
Okay. Anyway, some might call them flip flops.
flip-flops or jandals or something. Yeah, we're talking about Japanese
footwear.
safety shoes.
Footwear, which like Havanas. I just love that.
I'm so
Anyway,
careful about the terminology.
when we were living out at Seaview Heights, I remember actually hearing the sound of someone walking up the driveway, but specifically wearing thongs. So you
the
hear
flop, flop, flip, flop, 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 going up, yep.
So
But you know, I didn't realise that that's it's a sort of thing. You just hear things. No rhyme, no reason.
When everybody in the house that night heard those footsteps coming up the stairs, you just couldn't put it down to coincidence. It was everybody heard it. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
Very, very distinctive, and to this day, we don't really have an explanation.
And it definitely weren't a possum
No.
running across the roof.
That's right.
No, and this is the thing, we've all experienced being the Scott clan. I'll call us the Scott clan or Kylie or Jagoo now, but at the end of the day, a lot of families like ours have had
Yeah.
these sort of experiences through their whole lives. And Mum and Dad, do you think it's the fact that, and Kylie, you could probably answer this question as well, because you did a lot of history on the family, going back even further, because, you know, they say the Irish is au fait and all the rest of it, and look, and do you think it's because we brought a lot of it through the family line or through the family tree, as it were,
I
to
think
this
it's not
day?
just eye colour that can give us genetic predisposition. So it's just one of those things that, and it's not just because of the stories that has passed on from generations. It's not because we've been open to it. It's not because we've been brainwashed into believing they're true. It's just they just seem to happen.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it's one of those things that before Mum and Dad even let me know that the house at Wood Street was haunted or anything like that, I used to see a girl come to my bedside every night and just sort of stare at me. And my toys would move and lights would switch on and off and the TV would turn itself off or on, or like I'd fall asleep in the lounge room and it would turn icy cold and there'd be shadows against the wall belonging to people that just weren't there, and you could hear them talk.
Yeah, well, I'd vouch for Kylie on that.
I grew up like that, and to me that was
normal.
Normal.
Because I don't remember much about, because we actually, back in 1974, Mum and Dad, you lost everything in the 74 floods. I was, 3?
2.
2. I was 2. You were pregnant with Kylie? Or
Yep.
She was, yep. And basically, Mum and Dad lost everything. They lost everything. Brand new house, if I recall.
Yeah, 6 weeks old.
6 weeks we were in the house.
Now, I do remember bits and pieces of that house. Yeah, I do remember certain things about it. But, so growing up, moving in Enders Wood Street, it was, wow, it was something normal. You know, like I used to see stuff, and I remember how many times when I was a kid, go, Mum, I had some weird lights in the room, or I had this happen in the room, or how many times did I talk about it as a kid?
Yeah, but the whole thing is you don't. You try just so that not to frighten the kid. You say, "Oh, it's all right, ducks. No panic. It's perfectly normal."
Not frightening. Dad used to run down the back patio wearing nothing but a bed sheet, pretending to do something when I was about 3. Because I wouldn't go outside in the dark, because the dark scared the absolute crap out of me. So I'm standing about, and here comes Dad running down the opposite way, so I'd run off into the backyard.
The difference between...
That's not scary, me, no.
But the difference between you and me is because you had experienced a different house to 80 Wood Street, because I was 10 months old when we moved there. I didn't know any different. So to me it was very normal, the stuff that we were experiencing. You, on the other hand, had lived somewhere else, so you knew something wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
I remember the bed sheet.
Obviously, I've blocked
This
it out.
This is my father's idea of getting me to overcome my fears. I'll scare the little bugger, let him poop his nappy.
Mind you, Dad was quite creative with trying to get us over our fears, because lightning and thunder used to scare me, and I remember
him sticking in the backyard.
No.
With a big metal pole in your hand.
No. He got fly spray and leaned out the window, and he told me it was lightning spray to get the lightning to go away. And you'd see the lightning strike, and he'd put his arm out and he'd spray this fly spray, saying, "This is lightning spray. This will get the lightning to go away." And next time the lightning was there, it was further away. So you go, this stuff works.
And if you can hear that, little girl giggling and carrying on in the background, that is my niece. Yeah, she's having a cry.
He also talks to things that aren't there, so it makes you wonder what she can see.
I mean, that's the thing. Look, the family's been dealing with this sort of stuff for many, many years now. Mum, Dad, you got any stories for us that we probably don't know about yet, that I'm sure the listeners of the Zombies would love to hear?
When I was a young fella, my dad used to regale me with ghost stories, and they used to get the wind up, or the wind going, I should say. And one night, I remember as a young fellow, I was probably about 14 years old, and I'd been down to the jetty fishing. I wasn't supposed to be down the jetty fishing, but I went down the jetty fishing, and it rained while I was down there. And on the pathway home, there was all these she oaks trees, and they were heavy with rainwater. And I'm pushing these she oaks out of the way, and then directly in front of me, this white shape looms up. Well, I didn't know what to do. And then it said, "Moo." I had to change my underpants.
Well, just so people, this actually didn't happen during the day. This was at night.
This is at night time. That's exactly right.
I mean, if he'd done that during the middle of the day and his cow walked on and went moo and had to change his dacks, I mean, there's something seriously wrong that runs in
But
it.
wasn't that also, too, when you're on the island? Didn't you have the Min lights following you one time?
I was visiting friends over at the other side of the island, and I'm walking home, and it was a very dark night. And I had to walk through a swamp, and the road, quite a good dirt road through the swamp. and then this light come up out of the swamp, and it sort of followed me on my left-hand side. And there was nothing else around. It was just all swamp trees, tea trees and stuff like that. But this light weaved its way through the trees. And that's another night I had to change my underpants. I ran like I've never run before. And Dad then explained what I'd seen when I got home. But it was a heck of a fright.
Oh, the old Min lights, eh? God. And this is quite a common current event in Australia is Min lights. But we'll talk about that at another show now. So, growing up, as kids, both years, I mean, Grandma had a near-death experience, didn't she?
Oh, yes. We were involved in a very, very bad car accident when I was 7. And Mum actually died that Sunday. The accident happened on the Sunday, and the Sunday night she actually died. And she often used to retell the experience that she had. You know, the typical experience, you know, the white light and all this sort of thing. And she kept saying, no, can't go, job's not finished, I've still got kids at home. And that was the night she actually passed the crisis, and she actually went white overnight.
I think the term was clinically dead or something.
Well, the hair went white overnight.
Her hair went white overnight, but she actually died, and they brought her back because she was very badly injured in the car accident.
Go through the windscreen and scalp
my brother went through the windscreen.
Yeah.
And he was in a coma for about 3 days or something. But I was only 7, so my memory of all that. But my mum often spoke. But Mum things like this used to experience with Mum. I would say she was very much, what's the word?
Attuned.
Attuned, yes. She was definitely attuned. She was a running pain in the butt most of the time.
Especially at Trivial Pursuit, I remember growing up.
Yeah,
Always read out the answers for the questions before they were read.
Yeah, she was 2 rooms away from us playing the game, and before we'd even ask the question, she would yell out the answers, and she's a bit deaf, so I don't know how she did that.
She just used to do it to annoy us.
Yeah, but also, too, you'd play cards, and we'd say, Mother, you've reneged. Oh, did I? I didn't think anyone would notice.
She was a funny lady, fantastic. But I mean, this is that side of the family too, the in tune side of the family. Because Mum, you're very, very much in tune. Well, you used to be. So I don't know where you are now with knowing stuff. I mean, come on. I mean, at the end of the day, we know shit. I mean, that's the thing. We meet someone for the first time. We know exactly what they're like, what their past was, what their future holds. And this is a problem.
We still accept them.
This is what I call the family curse. This is what I call the family curse because, and the people know me and I've talked about this, is that nothing annoys me more than you go to shake someone's hand, you get the whole friggin' their life story in about half a second, you get all the pictures and images. But we all do it.
Yeah, no, I don't think I was ever that much in tune. I could meet somebody and I think, oh, I don't like you. And I'd never know why. And I think, oh, no, you're being stupid. And then it may take 6 months, 12 months down the track. And your initial reaction proves to be correct. But I don't know whether or not, I think that's just intuition. I think everybody has it.
Most
people do not click into it.
No.
They don't rely on it, they don't trust it, and therefore they don't use it.
I would dearly love to know what's going to happen, but I'm like everyone else. I've got to
Hope for the best.
hope for the best.
I mean, it is good in some ways. It's pulled me out of a lot of trouble as a kid.
Yeah,
if
but
you know what I mean.
but also because like all families are like this to a certain level, but we always know when something's up with the other one. Even before we talk to them, we just get a sense, and we're on the phone.
Yeah, pretty much straight
And we go, Mum, what's wrong? Nothing. Don't lie to me, Mum.
Because basically a bullshit of me is just going through. Mum, what are you on about? I mean, But
Oh, we have terrific bullshit readers.
and the good thing about it, yes, like I said, my mother does swear like a drunken sailor. So please,
Yes.
and she
Bev
often
Scott,
hangs around walls too. If you're interested.
Beth Scott, when she's not driving the big rigs, she likes candlelit dinners and walks in the park.
Oh, no respect for my grey hair.
No, we have no respect, Mum. Just deal with it. Now, Dad, mate, buddy of mine. Yeah, I'm sucking up here. So, Dad, I want some more stories out of you, mate, because you told us a lot of stuff growing up as kids. You're talking about Granddad, Granddad Scott, and living on McLean, or living on the island and stuff like that. Now, what's the family history on that side of things with the paranormal, if you can tell me?
Well, I suppose with my dad, he was a joker, and he always liked pulling stunts,
Yep.
like swinging a magneto over and then grabbing hold of your hand so you got the boot. He thought that was hilarious.
I'll just explain what a magneto is how you used to start the tractors up.
That's
in the
exactly
cars.
right.
You had this big handle that went into the flywheel.
No, that's a crank handle.
Yeah,
that's
so-
a crank handle.
Yeah, so-
a magneto was part of the engine,
That's
the
right.
electrical component.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't understand what a magneto was, but that's what it was.
It's not the thing of X-Men either. It's not the guy with the
No,
helmet.
nothing like that. But Dad was a joker, always telling jokes, laughed at his jokes like you wouldn't believe, and even if they weren't funny, he used to laugh. But loved telling ghost stories, and as a kid, I suppose, you'd listen to these ghost stories, and you'd brush them off until I met my mother-in-law. And then everything changed for me. It was just phenomenal how accurate she was in all her predictions, and how attuned she was to everything that's paranormal. Really, I don't know whether because she used to read these magazines on crime and all this sort of stuff, whether that made her attuned to the phenomenon. But she was an amazing woman.
And she had a bit of a morbid undertone because I inherited a lot of those books of the world's biggest disasters and the most infamous crimes and various murders throughout the centuries and pictures and everything. She had quite the collection.
Oh, she was definitely something.
She wasn't there reading how to knit a quilt or anything
No, she
like
was
that.
usually stealing the doilies of the little old lady next to her in hospital, washing and claiming them as her own. Yeah,
and saying they're her own work.
Yeah, right, Grandma. Where's your knit? I don't know.
You go, look at these lovely crocheted washers.
I did these just for you.
Yeah, you didn't steal them off the
you know.
woman next to you that's kind of in a coma.
No, look, and that's the thing, guys. Look, like I said, and look, if you just tuned in again, I am talking to Bev and Wayne Scott, my parents, who raised me not to be scared of the paranormal, but to embrace it's part of our family history and family tree. Both me and my sister growing up in this environment, and seriously, you can't hide your kids from this stuff. Look, they didn't brag about it. They didn't sort of make it our life. They just let us know we have to accept it. This is part of what we are. And that's why if people listen to this and have sent me those emails asking me how I got into this sort of thing is because it wasn't hidden from me. And it wasn't hidden from you, was it, sis?
No, not at all.
I think the whole thing is, I think both you and your sister are more open than your father and I were. You are more in tune. I don't know whether or not it's this generation, but you pair are more in tune with what goes on than Wayne and I are. I think we're that old.
We're probably too blasé about it now.
Yeah, and also too, we're pretty ancient.
Yes, you are. That's what I said. We had the mummy exposition here in Brisbane. What comment did I make? You're part of the exhibit or something?
Thanks very much.
Okay,
They got it for free.
Look, this one's quite well preserved.
So how did you get? Well, not the security guard comes and say, "How did you get out of your exhibit?" Sorry, I'm going to pay for this later. I can just see it. But you're saying, Mum. I mean, it's I guess me and my little sister. Yeah, we are very in tune. Look, I did readings for a while and stuff like that, and I still get a lot of people asking to do it. I don't do it as much as I used to because I don't know. It's just
I don't know. You
maybe.
kind of just want a normal life. And the thing is, It's,
I did want to know
although
my
it's
life.
part of our lives, we are so much more than someone that can read your palm or have a flash into your future or see dead people, basically. I mean, we have normal jobs, we have kids, we
Yep.
have people who love us, we have friends, we go out and have a good drink. You know, we're like everybody else.
We're normal, just that our family has been involved in this side of things for generations. It goes back generations, doesn't it?
We've seen things and we're not afraid to let other people
Nodding
know.
doesn't work for radio, Mum. You actually have to open your mouth. It looks great on TV, but just sitting there nodding like Noddy. No, it's
That's my age.
it's technology, it scares me. But yeah, that's the thing. But it does go back. No, stop nodding, Mum. Just I'll say it again. It goes back in generation, doesn't it, Mother?
Yes, my dear.
Yes, my dear. God almighty.
Look, one thing I want to say is close your mind to it, and you're missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing, really. If you have an open mind, you'll see things you probably saw them before, but you didn't realise what you've been seeing. But it's strange, but it's also exciting.
And sometimes comforting, actually, because a lot of people out there think that when you die, that's it. That's the end of the road. But our bodies are just vessels, really, for who we really are. And I'm afraid to say this, but who we are keeps on going.
And
long
I
after
think,
the body's gone.
what a waste.
Yeah.
Like when I die,
Yeah.
what a waste.
Oh, yeah. I agree
Yeah, I'm
with
really
you,
looking
Mum.
forward to you haunting me, Mum. That just adds that
Yes,
to my list.
we don't
It's
look at
fantastic.
we don't
see,
look
there
at
are
that side of things
disadvantages to
as-
be able to see those who've passed on.
Well, that's the thing. I guess with our family, it's a bit funny. We don't look at it as something that's the end. We look at something just a continuation on, because all of us have experienced the effects of loved ones moving on and paying us visits, and it doesn't matter during the middle of the day or at night. We've all dealt with it accordingly. But hey, listen, guys, that's the end of tonight's show.
Oh, thanks.
I
We have
just-
some dessert now.
Yeah, we can have some
Can we
dessert
have
now.
some ice
I really
cream?
want some ice cream. That's the only reason why I agreed to do this.
Because he promised us some ice cream.
Oh, God. If my real parents are out there, you'll find out this is no, listen, thank you. Look, this is probably the only chance I'm going to get all my family together who seen what we're like and how we do things and understand me better than anyone. So, Mum and Dad, thank you so much for joining me on The Zombie tonight. Don't nod, please. Just
You're welcome, son.
Yeah,
No, I didn't nod. It's a reflex action.
it's reflux, Mum. It's fine. And little sister, the little blister, the joy of my life. Thank you, Kyle, again for joining us on The Zombie tonight.
Anytime, Brad.
And if you have,
As long as you have wine, anytime.
yes, we had to get
I
the
will have
wine.
my ice cream now.
Okay, we have your ice cream now. Yes, Mum, would you like us to chew it for you first, if it helps? Listen, you have been listening to this. Okay, you've been listening to the best in Australian I'll try again. You've been listening to the best Australian paranormal pop culture radio show, The Naked Zombie. I am your host, Brad Scott, and please join us again for our next show coming tomorrow night, Sunday night. We're going to talk about the haunts of Brisbane. Have a good night, have a safe night, everyone, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers.